Hey everyone, my name is Sam. Thanks for checking out this video. If you get to the end and liked it, then hit the like button, subscribe button, thumbs up button, all the buttons. Can I help you? This is the time when you need to move around. Okay, yeah, that sounds right. So this week I read a total of 5 books, but like the biggest, coolest thing was I finished the anthology of my Sherlock Holmes. So starting off this week, I read the Casebook of Sherlock Holmes. Whoops. Which had a couple like repeat stories from before, but I think I actually really liked this one as like a conclusion. It was like kind of a wrap up, and you got a sense of, you know, there are cases that he solves and some that he don't solve. Doesn't. Oh, my grammar is really bad today. But yeah, I actually really liked this. This was a good way to end it. I liked all the stories, to be honest. Like, there were none that seemed like super problematic or boring or dull or anything like that to me. So I really enjoyed it. There was one specifically, it was a repeat one. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like this guy's wife is American. It turns out like I don't want to say what it turns out, but they meet in England and they meet very quickly and fall in love very quickly, and she marries him, but she's like, please don't ever ask me about my past. And then all of a sudden these weird like shadow like drawings on windows and whatever start showing up, and he thinks it has to do with her past. So that's probably my favorite one of the last one, but they were all actually like pretty legit good. So I'm happy I read this. It wasn't as dull as I was fearing it was. I find a lot of classics to be dull. As well as like, it's a mystery and it is like just older in general. So sometimes it can be like, that's a recipe for super racism. And like there was a couple times that it was like problematic and like, especially near the beginning. But like overall, I'm actually like really happy that I read this, and I can say I've read the Sherlock Holmes stories now too, so like high key brag. I also this week did a reread of Wondersmith, the Calling of Morrigan Crow. I remember when I first read this, like the month it came out, like I binged it. Like I just inhaled the hell out of it. But I feel like I kind of like didn't retain so much of it because I like just was like, I just want to finish it. I freaking love this book. Morrigan is damn adorable. I feel so bad like throughout this whole thing when like people are just kind of like ganging up on her because she is a Wondersmith when they find out. And especially like having basically like an Umbridge Snape combined professor, like that would be one of the most like demoralizing things to like ruin this like magical world. And like there were times where I was like, girl, just like run away. Like that's my solution. Even as like a 27-year-old woman, I would have just like run away at this point. But like I just love it so much. I'm so freaking excited for book 3 whenever it does come out. The cover and the end pages are just freaking stunning. And I'm really excited now that like they've passed, you know, what was in this, their test. And like, obviously, because there's a book 3. I'm so excited to see where it goes and the powers that get developed and like her being a Wondersmith and them not knowing what to do with it. As well as developing the history of Wondersmith, that they've either been negligent as a society or like actively been trying to erase the good because of the last bad Wondersmith. So I'm really curious to see how that keeps going. This series is amazing and y'all should read it. I also picked up The King of Atolia by Megan Whalen Turner. Wasn't sure if I was going to get to that one this month, but I ended up squeezing it in, and like I think this is my favorite of the 3 so far. This is book 3 in the Queen's Thief series, and like Eugenides and the Queen of Atolia in this are like giant trolls. Like it's not like a very funny like book, but they're trolling everyone like for most of this book. And I freaking loved it. And Eugenides pretending to be this like absolute moron bozo, like, you know, just someone who is in power and has absolutely no idea what they're doing. I'm sure you can all think of someone like that. And just him, and then like on the side him being like a low-key assassin, and then like all of the dukes and everything in this kingdom having this power grab is so good. And I love how him and the queen play off of each other, and he's just smart and manipulative, and it's so interesting to read. I love this book, and I'm really excited to read The Thief. No, it's The Queen's Thief, The King of Atolia, oh my god, what's it called? I lied. Book 4 is A Conspiracy of Kings. So I'm high-key excited for that after everything that happened in this. And I like that these aren't like cliffhanger endings, because I feel like there are some books where I just need like a kind of bow and then we can continue in the next book, rather than like J. Kristoff endings, right? So loved this one. This series has just gotten better with each book, and I can't wait to read the next one. And then I picked up the book that I was kind of scared to pick up of Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. This is a queer sci-fi King Arthur retelling. If that didn't get you excited, I don't know what to do with you. I will say, like, that is literally the summary. It's just a sci-fi retelling of King Arthur, where King Arthur is reincarnated, and we're on the 42nd or 48th time, and so Merlin is awoken when the sword is brought up, and chaos ensues. I really loved how much queer rep there was in here. There is a bunch of characters are bisexual, there's male-male relationships, female-female relationships, and it's just nice to see a book where that was so, like, normal. Like, and it is, like, they make an effort in here of some points of being like, did you just, like, misgender someone? Like, use the wrong pronoun? They're like, just, dude, what is wrong with you? I wish we lived in a world like that where people would just do that. But that kind of aside, I struggle with this book, and I don't know, it wasn't necessarily badly written. I don't know if it was maybe because there were two authors, or I don't know, maybe it's just how they write, but there's a ton of plot in here and very little character and relationship development. At no point are we really ever, like, we're never shown to buy into King Arthur and Guinevere's relationship. We're never, it's just, you're told that that's what you're supposed to do, and that seemed very either hastily done, rushed, maybe there was large scenes edited out, but they needed to insert parts to the book. And it's not like it was super big. They could have just made this book longer. They needed to insert scenes in between all of these massive plot points to develop the characters, to develop the relationships, to get me to care about Guinevere and the Lancelot and the King Arthur dynamic that we know is going to happen, and that Merlin keeps talking about it's going to happen, but I never, there's even this large year-long time jump where, once again, that was a time period when you could have used some relationship development. That really, I think that time jump really made that so apparent to me that, like, it was done unnecessarily, that they almost didn't know what to do. And I don't know, maybe it was because they've thought of this book for so long and it's in their head, but they never transferred it to the paper. But that was really, really missing, and really, really obviously missing. Same with the relationship between Arthur and her parents. Like, I understand that you're supposed to love your parents, but there's no development. I know nothing about the relationship whatsoever. None of that is developed, and that was really, really, really frustrating and incredibly disappointing that they put so much effort into making sure there was good rep, but then the characters were so basic and one-dimensional, really. Even the villains and everything, like, it was just really, really disappointing on that spectrum, and it was just really, really obvious, so it really overtook. I don't understand why they felt the need to make the plot so non-stop. It didn't really contribute anything to it being non-stop like that, and that was disappointing. So, in the end, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. And lastly this week, I read Let's Call It a Doomsday by Katie Henry. This is her new standalone. She's the author of Heretics Anonymous, which is, like, one of my most favorite books of all time, and she was really wonderful enough to send me an ARC of this book. It was one of my most anticipated, bookmark fell, and she was nice enough to sign it for me too. And if you don't know what Let's Call It Doomsday is, there is a main character, I want to make sure I get her name right, Ellis. I keep wanting to call her Ella. But Ellis is a Mormon teenager living in San Francisco with her family, and she's going to therapy, which I was kind of surprised because she is Mormon. But she goes to therapy because she is a doomsdayer. She thinks and anticipates the world's going to end. So she's someone she's got that bunker. She's prepped all of food and supplies for when, Armageddon kind of happens. And at her therapy session at the very beginning, we know that she's not getting along with her parents and her sisters, and there's a real disconnect there. And she goes to a school, but she's kind of a loner and isolated and doesn't have any friends. And then at her therapy sessions while she's leaving, she meets Hannah. And the whole book is basically her and Hannah's relationship. There's a lot of hot and cold friendship things going on there. Hannah's going through some stuff, and it's trying to figure out what Hannah's going through, but also that Hannah is trying to help her, and then Hannah insinuates at the very beginning that she's seen how the world's going to end, and it's with her and Ellis and Hannah are going to be there together in the end in San Francisco, and so she wants to find a guy named Pastor Dan to help her kind of decode it and figure out how to, like, help or save people. They both clearly got a lot of issues, and they're never really solved, but I love this book's characters. There is people from a variety of different religious backgrounds, but including especially there's a character named Cal, who is a former Mormon. He has left the faith with his father, and his father has now gone to a more liberal denomination within the Christian branch, and his mother has remarried, but she's still in the Mormon faith. So he feels like sort of an outcast, and his big thing is that he's bisexual, which, if you know anything about the Mormon faith, like, creates some issues. Whereas Hannah is openly a lesbian, and she has some leftover remnants drama from her past girlfriend who goes to the same high school, and no one's really open about anything in this whole book as these characters trying to figure each other out. I really liked these characters. The relationships are good. Hannah is a weird character and oddball, but she's still really endearing. Like, you want to know what exactly she's talking about, what's going on. You know she's not telling you everything. Ella, oh my god, Ella again. Ellis and Tal have this sort of romance throughout the full thing, and then there is this kind of scene where Ellis kind of says she thinks she's maybe bisexual, actually. So it was just really interesting getting that representation. It's not a main character plot point or anything like that. It's just a, oh, by the way, Hannah has a past with a girl instead of a boy. Like, it's something as small as that. Whereas I think it's more, it tries to bring up this part of sexuality within the realm of religion. I really liked that part of it. I have a friend actually who is former Mormon, so I'm really curious to see what she thinks of the representation in here, because just something right off the bat, I noticed that she is Mormon, her family is Mormon, yet she is going to a therapist. And I remember being told, like, or just reading and watching stuff where, you know, that's not, Mormons don't normally associate themselves with something like that. It's, you know, religion is supposed to be the therapy thing. So I thought that was interesting, and I think it just gave me a new perspective of people who are Mormon, that there are those extreme conservatives that you know, we've stereotyped in our heads, but there are people that are kind of like in between. Like, you know, I know people who are Catholic by name, but that's kind of it. Like, so it was just interesting to see that, and I'm really curious about this. I like that Katie keeps always trying to incorporate some aspect of religion, but not being controversial, but being real and, like, modern. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. My only struggle was that I really had a hard time finding out what the plot, like, what the end game was, until, like, the last third or so of the book. I was like, oh, okay, that's where we're going. There was a couple, like, kind of things in the air, but it was never quite clear. But to get me through those parts, I really just liked the characters. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this. 4 out of 5 stars. And I'm really happy I have an arc of it, and I will definitely pick up a physical copy, finished physical copy, once it comes out. So those are the books that I read this week. Let me know in the comment section down below what you read this week. I'd love to know, and what you thought on any of these books. If you've read them, I'd love to hear. Make sure to check the description box down below. I will link all of these books to their Goodreads pages, and I will also link all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back.